This podcast is part of the Zeo to Hero podcast network. Hello, all my beautiful people. It's time once again for another amazing episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast. And I would just like to say thank you to everyone who is listening right now, whether this is your first time, or maybe you've been listening for a long time, or maybe I picked you up along the way. I am really excited to have you here today to hear this episode with me. Today's guest is an artist that is part of my childhood, and that is Greg Peters. He has been a part of Pinky and the Brain, and Animaniacs, and Tiny Toon Adventures, and Flintstones, and Jetsons, and all kinds of other really cool stuff that I watched when I was a kid. And I'm very excited for you guys to hear this episode with him here today. We talk about all kinds of really cool stuff, so I'm not going to stay on here for very long. We're going to jump right into it. And for those of you who are here just to listen to the Greg Peters episode, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you hear, and I hope that you stick around and listen to some of my other episodes I have here as well. So, if you guys are as excited as I am, then let's get this show on the road.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast.
Whoa. Hey, Dad.
Bodacious, yeah.
And that's where Beerus was created.
Oh my gosh, it was the best experience of my entire time in wrestling.
Hunky Dory.
Seriously?
I think you said Undead Assassin so perfectly.
Where you kind of like cocked your head to one side and you're like, wait a minute, you're the voice of Wishbone?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did the series The Beauty.
Jared, that was beautiful.
It was Deadpool, but if Deadpool were, Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger.
Bruh.
I did those on my own, and I got in trouble for them.
Oh, no.
I'm a fine, upstanding citizen. I don't know what you're talking about, Bert.
And just a reminder before we get started here, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to IYGADAP wherever it is you're listening. Hit that notification bell so you are notified when a new episode drops. Also, make sure that you go out there and rate and review this episode. Tell me what you think of it. And the more people that do that, the more likely I am to be recommended to somebody else. Now, on to the show. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming back to the show. My name is Jared. I am the host of If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and I'm very excited for my guest that I have on here today. He is a 4-time Emmy Award-winning animation artist. He's known for many different things, such as Pinky and the Brain. He's worked with Rugrats. He's worked with Hanna-Barbera, all different kinds of things. He is known as the man that was born with a pencil in his hand, and I am talking about Greg Peters. Man, how are you doing tonight?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. I am just excited about doing this episode, talking with you. It's been a long time coming, over a year overdue, but we're here now.
Yeah, finally.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll kind of just get started right into this and everything. And so first off, I'll ask you, what got you into this? I think that I read that you started drawing at a very, very young age. I think maybe 2 or something like that. So I'm guessing this is something that you've always had a passion for then.
Yeah. I started drawing when I was 2, mostly Hanna-Barbera characters.
Gotcha.
And and just kept doing it and never stopped. Luckily, I had parents that meant that, my dad knew what it took to be an animator.
Yeah.
So, and he liked the fact that I started drawing when I was young. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, when you start out like that, I'm somebody who always loved to draw from the time I was a kid. And if you keep at it, you get better and better at it. So, I mean, the fact that you figured that out at such a young age, kind of tells you that you're going to be able to do something more with it if you just keep practicing at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, when I started, it was with a red crayon on the wall. So.
They probably weren't too fond of that happening, though.
Yeah. My mom wasn't.
So I found a bunch of different things whenever I was kind of researching this episode to talk with you. And you've done a lot of work when it comes to Hanna-Barbera, and you've done some work with, different ones. Warner Brothers would be another, and some Disney stuff as well. How did that process happen? What was What was the journey to get to that point?
Yeah. My dad knew what it took to be an animator,
Mm-hmm.
and he was actually the head technical illustrator for General Dynamics.
Okay.
So he designed a lot of battleships and stuff for the Navy.
Gotcha.
Um, then he became the manager of a studio that did all the artwork for IBM.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, he I can't remember the name of the magazine, but he brought a magazine home and told me, I should look at this. And there was an article about Cal Arts, California Institute of the Arts.
Uh-huh.
So I read it, and it sounded great. So I applied and got turned down. I actually got turned down 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I think it was 3 times, but I was persistent.
Yeah.
So what actually happened is after the second or third time, whatever that was, I made an appointment with Bob McRae,
Uh-huh.
who was he's an old Disney veteran. So basically I went up there and I asked him point blank, I really want to come to the school. I keep getting turned down. Tell me what I need to put in my portfolio.
Yeah.
Tell me, and I'll do it. I'll make a new portfolio.
Yeah.
Because the artwork in there wasn't bad. It just wasn't what they were looking for.
Right.
And they didn't exactly come out and tell you what they're looking for.
You kind of had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They gave you a pamphlet of like loose sketches, and that's actually what they were looking for.
Oh.
But they didn't actually bother to tell you that. I mean, they didn't tell you that. But that's what Bob McRae says. Go back, go do quick 30-second sketches of humans and animals in action. It shouldn't take you any more than 30 seconds to do one. Because what we're looking for is the essence of movement. And if you can capture movement in as few lines as possible like that,
uh-huh.
and still maintain like the shape of the human body or animal or whatever,
uh-huh.
Then you'll probably get in.
Right.
So I did. I put together a new portfolio with what he told me,
mm-hmm.
and then I got in, and that's basically how everything started.
Wow.
From there, Cal Arts. The reason I was so persistent is because I knew Cal Arts had tie-ins into the Hollywood community,
uh-huh.
and like Spielberg goes to hire David Geffen, all these people.
Right.
So, and I knew that in advance. So that's why I pursued it. From Cal Arts, I met the head of the model department at Hanna-Barbera in my senior year.
Uh-huh.
And he was one of them that came up to me at the end of the year and offered me work.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Because what they do, they have this thing called the producer show.
Uh-huh.
Where senior students show up. They all show their films. And that's when all these people like Giffen and David Spielberg and all these people go up there. They sit there with a list. They check your name off on the list. And then they come out and find you immediately after the show's over with. So yeah, we were told not to leave the department because as soon as the show ends, they're going to come looking for people. And so I was approached by 7 different studios. I picked Hanna-Barbera. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Disney being one of them.
Yeah.
But I picked Hanna-Barbera because it's the most major influence I had in my life.
Right.
And I love everything they did from 1957 to 1972.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a huge, especially the Flintstones. Just a huge, major influence and the stuff that I really loved.
Right.
So I figured I'll start here, and then at least I'll know for the rest of my life that I started at my dream studio.
That's great.
Yeah, so I did, and then everything else followed. Connections. I made connections. It's all connections.
Right.
A lot of people that went over to Warner Brothers when that started, they came from Hanna-Barbera, and I knew some of them.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into Warner's, and some of them were from Disney, and then I made contacts with them.
Right.
But yeah, it's all connections. So yeah.
I've learned that with even doing what I'm doing here, talking to people, is networking is everything. You learn to meet people.
Yeah.
You meet people along the way, and they help you to get to that next step. Make sure that you're open and willing to talk to people, and that networking will take you a long ways. I've learned that over the last 3 years for sure.
Yeah, it's important.
Definitely. So what was the feeling behind being able to go in, because you worked on a few things when it came to like the Jetsons, and you worked on the Flintstones and stuff, I believe, that I read, doing some like commercial work with them. Whenever you were told that you were going to be working on these projects, what was that feeling like?
That was really cool. Because when I was at Hanna-Barbera, I let them know how much I love their old stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got to work on like the Jetsons and the Flintstones and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was a dream come true.
Right. What is your process like? Because I know that you've done some character creation and stuff when it comes to, I believe you did some of the character creation when it comes to Rugrats, and even Pinky and the Brain, I believe as well. You were part of that. And what is your creative process like whenever you're trying to come up with these new characters?
A lot of it was from what I was being told.
Yeah.
So it was word of mouth for a while.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to episodical stuff, I would get a script and the dialogue track.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would.
Well, you did the storyboard on a lot of these, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Storyboard comes after character design usually.
Yeah.
Not all the time. I know there are episodes of Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs.
Uh-huh.
The storyboard, they were doing storyboards before I designed the characters. Right. So that was actually easier because the characters are already designed. I just had to clean them up. All right.
I can do this, no problem.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite character that you've worked on?
I would probably Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain?
Yeah, it's my favorite show that I worked on.
Yeah, I grew up with that one. That one was one of my favorites. Animaniacs, they were all kind of intermingled into one show, I guess, because Pinky and the Brain came on Animaniacs, if I remember that correctly, whenever I was a kid. And that one was great. I loved it. I still, do the still do the Pinky any chance I get. So
that's my favorite. I would have liked to have done more Flintstone stuff.
Yeah.
There was a point where they were going to leave some of the movie in this country to be animated.
Okay.
But then they ended up shipping everything over to Taiwan or Korea or whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah.
There's the movies that came out in 1990, 92. The one where Pebbles gets married, and then when they have a baby or babies.
Oh, okay. So some of the later stuff, like it's a continuation of the story type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this or not, but there is also a political cartoonist that shares your name. How often, if at all, does his work get confused into what you do?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's very rarely ever come up, and I don't even know if it's someone that was in the industry or
it was somebody
mentioned it to me along the way.
Yeah. So I was, doing my research, and you go and you look at your stuff, but the picture, like on Google and stuff that they had, it wasn't of you. It was of the other guy, the political cartoonist. I was like, wait a minute, that's not him. I've met this guy before. I know what he looks like and everything. Yeah. So when I saw that, so I did a little bit more research, and I guess he was he made like political cartoons and stuff in like the newspaper. So I didn't know if maybe, because I actually think that a few of your IMDb things on there, it has like a note in there, like, did you know that he did this? And it was one of the political cartoons that the other guy made. So
that's funny.
Yeah. I know that you do a lot of different conventions and stuff now. In fact, that was the first place that I met you, was at a convention. Are you doing those quite frequently now?
Yeah. I do a lot of them.
Right on.
Usually like 2 or 3 a month.
Oh, wow. So you're staying extremely busy with that then.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. One of my friends sent me a picture a few weeks ago, and it was with you and everything. And I was like, hey, I'm going to talk to him. They have a podcast called the Zeo to Hero podcast. They were at one of the cons there in Texas, and they sent me a picture of you with them. So I know that you've been doing that quite a bit. I'm fairly new to it, doing the convention scene and everything, and having a table and all that. But I mean, it's a lot of fun, and you get to meet a lot of really cool people.
Yeah, a lot of industry people,
Right.
and because I like for Sonic, I didn't know any of the voice cast.
Okay.
Before we did a convention together.
Yeah.
And then now I know. I'm like, well, I knew Ryan.
That
was from a previous convention, but the rest of them I didn't know.
Okay.
So I mean, I know him now, but
right.
So
well,
yeah.
The one that you were a part of, was that the '90s cartoon, the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog?
No.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Actually, I worked for Sega in house.
Okay.
So yeah, Sonic Speed, Sonic Spinball, and then they had a whole bunch of They had a Disney game, a Garfield game.
Okay.
And then other stuff like that. And then they put me in development for like Ratchet and Bolt.
Okay. Yeah. Clank and Ratchet. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I asked you that is because my episode last week was with Charlie Campbell, and he actually played the voice of the owl on the movie in I believe it was 94, 95 when when the Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out. And I know you were saying that you had met some of the different voice actors and stuff now, and so I didn't know if maybe that was one that you had been a part of.
Yeah, no. People like Scott Dreyer and Ryan and those guys. Yeah. So we just did a convention with them in Louisiana.
Okay. Was that the they've got
the RetroCon?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They've got a couple big ones that are coming. I saw that there's the big Cajun Con that's supposed to be happening, I think in December of this year out there, and they've got a ton of people that are going to be there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's Scott Ennis who is putting that one on, and he's got a ton of talent that's going to be there. Different people that I've had on the show and that I've met and kind of made friends with and everything. So I'm kind of excited to see that one. It'd be interesting to get to go to that one.
There's one called Sonic Summit. I'm going to be doing that.
Okay. Where's that one at?
Reno.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, Reno, Nevada. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So when you're not going to conventions and stuff and you're not drawing, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I weightlift.
Okay.
5 days a week.
Oh, wow.
Very heavy.
Yeah. I've seen you post pictures of being at the gym and stuff. Do you have a specific kind of music that you like to listen to while you're working out?
Music while I'm working out? No. Think of me, I'll make animal noises.
All right.
So, I just pretty much get into it. Every day is a different body part.
Right.
Try not to just strain myself out too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I'm drawing, I listen to swing.
Swing. Okay.
Yeah, it's a rhythm. That rhythm helps me draw.
Okay.
So everything seems to come out better with that music. So yeah.
I could see that. Do you have a specific band that you like to listen to, or specific artists that you like to listen to?
Yeah, old stuff. It'd be like, I played the clarinet for a while.
Oh, cool.
So, Benny Goodman. Was an influence. I actually got pretty good at it. And then Glenn Miller, new stuff would be like Royal Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
So I actually I'm a band person myself. I played French horn in band. So I'm guessing, is that where you got your start when you played clarinet?
Yeah, I actually got it. I started in elementary school.
Okay.
I wanted to play the tuba, but I didn't know the right mouth shape for it. So yeah, so they said, "Here, try this." It was a clarinet. I didn't really like it, but then it was like, okay, well, Dick Dastardly and Muttley, they've got clarinet. A lot of it's clarinet. Not the Wacky Races, the Dick Dastardly and Muttley and the Flying Machines. So then I heard that, it was like, okay, maybe this is cool. Then when I got older, then I started getting really into it.
Uh-huh.
I had the same clarinet, a little bit of piano too.
Okay.
So I'd like to play more piano and drums.
So you play a little bit of everything then?
Yeah. Well, those three, yeah.
Yeah. I started out on the drums myself and moved on from there. When I got into band is when I realized, I can play these different instruments and stuff. And I too play the piano, and I found that out after, starting to play the French horn in band. So that's a really cool kind of parallel that we have there.
Yeah. Yeah, the French horn, yeah, that's great. But
yeah. So it was funny whenever when I was in band, I wanted to play the saxophone. I thought that was the coolest instrument ever. And then I found out how much they cost to buy. And my parents were like, "Oh, you're going to have to pick something else." And the first time I had tried a brass instrument, it didn't work out for me. I was doing it right. It just didn't work. So I then, I was going to tell my beginning band director, "Hey, I'm going to have to quit because I can't do this. We can't afford for me to play the saxophone, and I can't do brass." So him and another one of the band teachers there actually said, "Come here, let's go back here." And they took me in the back and they taught me how to actually play on the French horn mouthpiece, which is the smallest brass instrument mouthpiece that you have. It's the French horn. Okay. And then they said, "Okay, well, now that you know how to do that, try to play this." And they actually gave me a tryout for the French horn. And the French horn was one that they didn't just let you say, "I'm going to play the French horn." You actually had to try out for it. And once I figured out how to play on that mouthpiece, I was able to do it. And they realized, you know what, you actually have an ear for music. And so I was able to do that. And the French horn, the cool thing about what those are, they're so expensive that the school actually lets you rent one from them per semester. So that was much more affordable than a monthly payment on a saxophone. So I was able to get into band because of, a band director who said, let's try you out on this first before you completely give up. Let's do this. And then I was able to start playing that. And that's what gave me the confidence to start learning how to play the piano and the guitar and the bass guitar. And, I love music. Music is a big part of my life now.
Yeah. Yep.
So do you have anything that maybe you want to talk about before I get you off of here? Like events that might be coming up?
This week I have Allcon.
Uh-huh.
Which I've done that Comic-Con before. It's good. It's in Dallas.
Yeah.
So luckily it's not too far from here.
Right.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then after that there's one in Berger. It's a one-day con in Berger.
Okay.
I don't know too much about it, but I got in there, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
The Midwest Gaming Classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Milwaukee.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I do that show. I do that show every year.
So you're traveling a lot.
I actually lived up there. For a while.
Oh wow. I love that area up there. If I could, I would move up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like snow, so.
Yeah, I do. I got real excited. We got snow here a few weeks ago, and I was very happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I guess you're in Texas, and they got some of that snow too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've had my fill of it from being born in Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That'll do it for sure.
Yeah, that'll cure you of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Kalamazoo,
Okay.
which is I'm gonna be with Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we have a panel together. Yeah, they grouped us together.
Yeah.
So I know that. Last time I saw them was NostalgiaCon
Uh-huh.
in Houston.
Yeah.
So a couple of months ago.
Right on. Right on.
But they told me they knew who I was. I started introducing myself because that's the thing with animation. You don't really meet any of the voice people.
Right.
Yeah, they do their own thing, and we're separate. And I get the voice track on the cassette
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. And then you just work from that. But I should have met Rob a few years ago in Salt Lake City, and then so it was good to see him again. And then that's the first time I met Maurice in person.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know they're both at a party at Liz Holzman's house.
Uh-huh.
She had a party, and they were there, but something happened, and I don't know if they had to leave, but I didn't get the chance to meet them then.
Gotcha.
And that was actually when we were making the show.
Oh man. So that would have been cool then.
Yeah.
So, you said something there, and I want to ask about this really quick. You said that you were getting the voiceover parts. So I know I talked to a lot of voice actors and stuff on the show, and I talked to a lot of people that work with Funimation and Crunchyroll and things like that. And a lot of the animation is already created, and they're just doing a voiceover, a dub over, because it's the original is Japanese. And so when you're doing it, you were saying you got the voice, and then would you draw based off of what the voice was saying?
Yeah, what it sounded like.
Okay.
I just had to imagine what would this person look like if they sounded like this.
Gotcha.
And yeah, there's a brief description in the script
of
what the character is or who the character is.
Yeah.
But I was listening mostly. Well, it was that, but mostly the voice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would they ever bring it back to you and be like, "Hey, this character, we want it to look a little different than what you have here"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Okay.
So, but I learned a lot. Mostly at Warner Brothers. Then I did it at any other studio.
Right.
So, yeah. And the major characters, they're kind of hard. A lot of revisions.
Right.
Pinky and the Brain is easier. Pinky and the Brain are actually based off of two real people.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Who are they based off of?
Brain is based off of Tom Minton.
Okay.
Who's I think he's executive producer. There's Spielberg, and then there was Tom Minton.
Yeah.
And then so Brain is based off of him.
Yeah.
And Pinky's based off of a storyboard artist. His name is Eddie Fitzgerald.
Okay.
So yeah, Eddie's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
He's got a kind of a unique laugh, so it's kind of what inspired Pinky.
Okay.
Yeah. So, little behind the scenes thing.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. The one thing I always liked about Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and stuff is they brought actual real life people into become characters in the show. Even the intro to Animaniacs has Bill Clinton playing the saxophone.
Yeah.
And I always love that, how they brought in other stuff that maybe other kids' cartoons aren't going to be talking about. That was always really cool to be able to see that other side of it.
Yeah. A lot of the character designs and politicians and those kind of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was basically what I was doing, was designing them.
So you were, that's where the characters, I'm guessing, started for you, was doing those in shows like that.
Yeah.
Okay. How hard is it to switch over from doing like an original character to doing like the characters? Because I know when you're out in public and stuff, and there's people who do the character drawings of people all the time. that's kind of a faster pace type of drawing that you have to do in that. So what is the kind of the switch in your, is there like a switch that you have to flip in your brain kind of to go from doing those to go to doing just cartoon characters?
Not really. Yeah.
Not really. Okay.
They would give me like a whole bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
Of wherever the star was or the politician.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's about the same. Cartoon characters are easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it.
Well, and really what you're doing is just capturing the essence of that person when you're doing, a character of somebody. And so I've always found that interesting because, it could look really, it's a cartoon, but you find those things that make that person special and specific to bring out in the drawings that you're having of them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had to keep them animatable.
Yeah.
Too. So yeah, not too much detail.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I guess that goes along with like what you were saying, whenever they're telling you to be able to do these drawings and be able to do them quickly and still have movement in them. I guess that kind of could translate over into that a little bit, because you're trying to do, not as much when it comes to detail, but still enough of that person to bring out that character.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So if you were going to give somebody a piece of advice that you wish that you would have received when you first started doing this, what would that be?
You have to know how to draw the human body really, really, really super well.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, it was like, I don't really need to know that because it's cartoon characters. So my dad kept pushing it on me.
Yeah.
And then what eventually happened was I had sent a letter to Joe Barbera after Alan Reed died, and it touched him so much that he sent me back like a whole bunch of Flintstone pictures.
Yeah.
There's like 10 of them or something at least. Well, my dad, he saw one of Wilma and Betty, and he was like, "You see this picture of Wilma and Betty? It's got human anatomy in it. As simple as his characters are, it's still got human anatomy in it."
Right.
And he pointed that out, and it was like, "All right, you win." So then it finally clicked in my head.
Yeah.
Then he started giving me all of his Andrew Loomis books that he had when he went to art school. So just draw from this until we get you into like a figure drawing class, and then started taking figure drawing classes too. But that's the most academic requirement for being an animator. You have to know inside and out what the human body looks like,
right?
Where the muscles are, what they look like,
yeah,
where the joints are. So when you animate, you know how to move your character, and you know where to bend their arm, with their legs, whatever.
Yeah.
So it looks believable, and because if you don't, everything's going to fall apart on the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So if people want to follow you to keep up with everything that you're doing and where you're going to be at, how can they do that?
I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. At Greg Peters Way Cool. So the more followers, the better. But, yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, we're going to get you off of here, but I will talk to you for a few more minutes after we end this recording. Thank you for coming on here and talking to me. I've really enjoyed this, and I can't wait to maybe see you at one of these cons again here soon.
Yeah, hopefully so. Yeah, cool.
All right.
All right, Jerry.
Thanks.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Clay Readymade here with Diamond State Wrestling, Northwest Arkansas's premier wrestling promotion. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel, where you can find all the action-packed action that only Diamond State Wrestling can provide.
Hey listeners, I'm glad you're enjoying what you're listening to. I'm Billy from Zero to Hero Podcast. I'll always be joined by Jim, and me and him are the Broken Skull Podcasting. Definitely, if you love what you're listening to, then come swing on by Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you find your podcast, we'll be there too.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Greg. I really enjoyed talking to him, and I look forward to seeing him again in the future. The first time I met him, I think I told this in the episode, was at PTXCon, which was my first event where I was a guest at a convention. So I was really stoked to be able to get him on the show and talk to him today. I just want to say thank you to him for taking time out of his busy schedule to come on here and have a chat with me. And I can't wait to see where he goes next because he is traveling all over the place. So if you're listening to this on Monday, then you have another episode that comes out tomorrow. I have on with me Stanley Carr. He is the host of Wrestling with Heart with Stanley Carr, and he is a radio personality out of the Nashville area. We're going to talk about wrestling. We're going to talk about his podcast and some of the other things that he does as well. That one, like I said, is dropping tomorrow. We're doing a special 2 episodes this week. And I am excited for you guys to see that. And then also on Wednesday, the video version of my episode with Stanley will be dropping as well. When I recorded with Greg this week, we didn't get to do a video interview, so there won't be a video version of that out on my YouTube channel, but there will be a video version out of the Stanley Carr episode that comes out tomorrow. So make sure that you tune back in for that. And then when you want to find out what is happening next with If You Give a Data podcast, then make sure that you are following me on social media. I am all over the place, so if you guys want to find me, the best way to do that is to hit the link tree at the bottom of my show notes here. That way you can see all the different places where you can find the show and all the different places that I am on social media. So make sure that you check that out. Also, while you're waiting on another episode to drop, make sure that you check out my podcast networks that I'm a part of, the OIW Podcasting Network and the Zeo to Hero Podcasting Network. They both have amazing stuff, amazing content, so make sure that you go out there and you follow them. I have them in my show notes as well. If you want a t-shirt or you want a hoodie for IYGADAP, then make sure you check out my Etsy shop and get you some merch there. I do want to get some more stuff put out there. It's just been kind of hard to get it all up on the page. I'll have some new stuff coming up soon, some stickers, some different shirts, some of the Dad Bod Club stuff, things like that. So just stay tuned for that. Also, if you like the way my ending theme song sounds at the end of this little portion that I'm doing here, that's D-Cure. D-Cure made that song for me a little over 2 years ago, and I'm very appreciative of it. If you like the way that sounds, make sure that you go out there and you follow him as well. He is linked in my show notes. Original Geek has some really cool stuff that's coming up right now as I'm recording this. Nick is at Kansas Comic-Con, and we're doing awesome. We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff going on right now. We have the Kickstarter, which is going, which you will find in the show notes, which is for Whispers in the Dark, Issue 2 and Issue 3. You might be seeing a little video that's going around right now that I made for them to have a promo for these next 2 issues that are coming out. Make sure that you go out there and you support that Kickstarter. That way we can have more of these great comics come out for you guys. That way we can finish this story. It's only a 3-issue arc. You have issue 1 out there, and we're trying to finish the story. So make sure that you go out there and you support that Kickstarter. We got some other live events that are coming up. We will be at Treat Your Shelf in Mountain Home, Arkansas, this month. So if you are in that area, make sure that you come out and see us. And then next month, I believe that we are going to be at Heroes and Wizards Comics in Webb City, Missouri. When we do those things, make sure that you come out. Get you a comic book. Talk to the people that are there with us. maybe get a signature and autograph, one of those things. But yeah, we've got some really cool stuff that we're going to be doing here soon, so stay tuned for all of that. Also, I have 2 brother podcasts that I would love for you to go and follow as well. They're both YouTube channels, and that is If You Give a Dad a YouTube channel and If You Give a Dad a Cosplay. It's 2 of my friends from the 3 Ranger Bros Studios that are helping me out here. You've got Ty, who runs If You Give a Dad a YouTube channel, and you've got Willie, who runs If You Give a Dad a Cosplay. They have all kinds of amazing stuff on their channels to help you get the tips and tricks that you need to start your own YouTube channel, to start doing cosplays and things like that. So make sure that you go out there and that you follow them as well. Also, like I said, follow me on socials. If you want to send me an email, it's in there as well. But if you want to go ahead and do it now, before you get to that, you can send it to giveadatapodcast@gmail.com. If you want to suggest a guest for me to bring on, if you want to tell me a dad joke, then do that. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, if you could do me one small favor, rate and review this podcast. Tell me what you think of it. If you like it, then go out there and rate it and review it. And the more people that do that, the more likely I am to be recommended to more people. And I would love to see this show grow. So please go out there and do that for me. Also, if this is your first time listening to the show, make sure that you subscribe to it wherever it is you're listening, and you hit that notification bell. That way you're notified when a new episode of IYGADAP drops. Make sure, if you like it, that you share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your neighbors, share it with everybody, because I feel like there's something here for everyone. So, we have come to the end of another episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and I would just like to say thank you so much to everyone who is here listening right now. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And, without you guys, I wouldn't have this show. So I really appreciate everybody who comes back and listens to this every week. But it is the end of the show, and it is time for Billy's favorite part, and that is Dad Joke of the Week. What do you call a moose with no name? A non-a-moose.
Jared, your dad joke this week, I don't know what to do, but Jim has just completely lost. I don't know what you're doing, Jared. This dad jokes are out of control. You've made Jimmy lose it. Jim's losing it right now. The Yeti. I don't know what you're doing. Jared, you got to stop with these things, okay?
Like that. I'm offended.
All right. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I'm in my room grounded, but I got a podcast on. He calls us beautiful people, then tells us who we have on. The best part of my day, though we're blocked out in my pods. Tell my friends all about it so that they follow along. And the host is kinda nerdy, but guess what I am as well. I don't feel so alone, and I began walking out of my shell. Heard a story, I need a connection I haven't felt. I'll be looking for the next one, till then farewell. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. Listen closely, download and tune in remotely. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely, download and tune in remotely.
This podcast is part of the OIW Podcasting Network.
This has been an Original Geek production.
All right, cool, sweet, baby Jesus. Okay, cool.